Well, we're going to move on to our final topic. I think that puts the kibosh
yet another worst quarterback in the NFL.
We put the kibosh on Tom Brady, and we talked about a quarterback who could be playing in Tom when he comes back from his suspension. I'll tell you one guy who's not coming back, and that's Johnny Football. Guys, the party's over for Johnny Manziel.
It's finally done.
Honestly, it's really kind of, to me, it's kind of sickening. The guy is lost. He is lost. He is, and I'm not even talking football, because at the end of the day, football is not important when it comes to what's going on with this guy. He's really got some problems here. He's got some real problems, and in the sense of alcohol, drugs, he has no respect for anybody, and women too. And there's this I don't know, this theme where, people, we saw it with Greg Hardy too. You beat up and abuse a woman, and then there will be people, and even you yourself will say, well, that's not really what happened. It's obviously an over-exaggeration on the woman's part. And then I saw Johnny Manziel's lawyer today saying how, things were actually much different. There's a completely different story. This girl really wasn't assaulted. It's all fake. That's so sad that people are going out of their way then. Lawyers are lawyers, but that people are going out of their way to continue to defend Johnny Manziel when he needs a come to Jesus moment, and people do not defend him and say, what the hell are you doing? Get your shit together. But the thing at the end of the day is he has to do it himself. If he does not do it himself, we clearly saw the Cleveland Browns, they made him go to rehab. He did it, but he didn't get anything out of it. It was forced.
Well, it's kind of like the saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And another thing I was thinking of when you were talking, Brandon, it's kind of like a saying I think I heard this a couple of weeks ago for the first time, and it opened my eyes like, whoa, I never thought of it like that. Yeah, we usually say you're innocent until proven guilty, but usually it's you're guilty until proven innocent. With Johnny Manziel, it's exactly what you said. He needs a come to Jesus moment, as you said, where somebody needs to say, dude, get your effing shit together, bro. Because the way I see it, and you listen to ESPN, you listen to Fox, whatever you're listening to, we're all saying the same stuff. Comes from wealth. He was a partier growing up, went to Texas A&M, BMOC, partier on campus, and nobody's ever... He was kind of the kid that could get away with stuff because mommy and daddy had money. Well, now in the real world, when the microscope is on you and the magnifying glass is over you, it's you're either going to be everything you do is looked at. And you're either just going to be looked at, or in this case, the sun is shining into that magnifying glass, and it is burning the ant, which is Johnny Manziel. And it's a train wreck. Somebody needs to tell him, dude, you need to get your shit together. However, it's like I said, you can make him go to rehab. You can't make him get anything out of it, though. And I think my biggest problem, and this is when I knew everything was going downhill, was when, oh, yeah, he's rooming with Josh Gordon. Oh, really?
He's crashing on his couch.
Really? Is that the guy?
Yeah.
It's like a saying, when I heard he was crashing on the couch of Josh Gordon. I'm thinking Josh Norman now, but Josh Gordon. I thought of a line my mom used to tell me as a kid. It's all like people are going to judge you, and you got to watch the company you keep because they are going to affect your decisions and what you do. Josh Gordon's not the guy I'd be hanging out with if I wanted to get help. But
hey,
it's clear
he just failed another drug test. It's okay.
I mean, he doesn't want to get help. That's the big thing. A few things about Johnny Manziel. I mean, he's obviously that guy who partied a lot in college and was not ready for the party to stop. Everybody, when you go to college, if you haven't been there yet, if you've already left college, you know that person who was not ready to leave.
Usually that guy is the one who stays in your hometown and is a real estate agent. Just drinking beers now. That's that guy.
All right, sure. But whatever you say, Ricky. Ricky just got a lot of real estate agents really pissed off at him. But with that being said, I mean, the things that he was able to get away with in college because he was the dumb college kid and we all forgave that. No one's forgiving that stuff anymore. What I really think is the big situation here, I think once football season starts, that's going to be a big moment for him of either oh man, I got to get some stuff together, or just this downward spiral really amplifies and he's going to hit rock bottom.
It's not going to change. To me, it's not. I feel like this is the beginning of the end for Johnny Manziel.
It's going to be huge once he sees other people playing football and nobody has any interest in him playing football.
And here's another thing, though, too. This is sad, but he could still have all these problems. But if he had success, if he was being successful right now in the NFL,
Greg Hardy. Yeah, I just think of that.
He would still have a job. The success would overshadow the problems. But he sucks. He's really not that good. And for him to ever be good, he needs to put this stuff aside. But he can't do it because he's addicted. I mean, the guy is addicted. But what happens? He's got friends that'll continue to party with him that aren't really friends. They're going to hang around with him while he's got the money, the wealth, the fame, the girls, all that stuff. Yes, exactly. And it will burn out. I mean, that will burn out. We've seen plenty of cases like it before. It happens. But this is just not good. And, I was watching NFL Insiders today, and I think it was Bill Polian who said, football aside and everything, he said that he has really got to get himself some help. He said, because right now, no one is going to take him. No one football-wise is going to take him right now with everything that's going on, with all the issues surrounding him, with all the issues he has. And he said what's really a shame is that he was talking with some Cleveland Browns coaches towards the end of last season that Manziel was finally getting it. He was finally starting to learn. He was having some appreciation for the game. That's another thing. Johnny Manziel, he does not have appreciation for this game. He walked into what he was a very good college player. I will give him that. He was very successful, very good, fun to watch. But he thought that all the fame and everything that was going to follow him into the NFL. The NFL is a different beast, and there are some people who just do not get that. And that's exactly what it is. And he thought that was all going to be okay. Everything was going to be fine. They were going to love him. They were going to adore him. They were going to praise him. It's not the case. It's not the case. So he has to find people and surround himself with people who still praise Johnny Manziel.
Well, and it's one of those things, I feel like, man, we had this conversation, and everyone did, when the Manziel kind of drama started to begin, where they started talking like quarterbacks like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and the thing that they'll tell you is, yeah, it's great to have your own personal life and have like fun outside of your job, which is football, but your job is football. And Peyton Manning was like, if I have to study the playbook on a weekend, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to study the playbook and watch film, because that is my job. That's what I am getting paid for. That is what puts bread on the table for my family.
Yeah. And Johnny Manziel, career's done. Can't wait for the 30 for 30.
What if I told you money doesn't mean everything?
And I really think that it's not surprising to say, that in some months and some years that we will probably see a TMZ report of like Johnny Manziel dead. Because this is the path that he's going on. And I really think everything's going to amplify once his, the buddies he's hanging out with, the people he used to play with, they're playing football, they're going back to work, and he's still sitting on the couch wondering what he's going to do.
Except for Josh Gordon,
who will be sitting there with him, yeah.
As they smoke their medicinal
But
marijuana.
That's the thing. He's going to run out of money, too. And then what are you going to do? What happens next? It's a horrible downward spiral. I mean, when his dad is even saying, I'll be surprised if he survives to the end of the year, that's an issue.
That's a huge issue. It's a huge issue. But at the same time, if you're a parent, and again, I don't know everything that the Manziel family is doing, and they may be doing it behind closed doors and trying to keep it as private as they can, which good for them. I think that stuff like this should be, as private as possible. You better be helping him. You better be giving him as much support in the sense of, Johnny, you have got to get help. If they're not doing that, that is not a good family. That is not a good family.
I don't think he's even going to listen to it. If you say that, he's not going to listen. Because
again, this really is an opinion.
Yeah.
If someone is addicted, if someone, is like that, you have to get help on your own. You have to have your own. Come to Jesus. It's time. I am ready now. You can't, people can force you all you want. You're just going to get more upset, and continue to do the act more and more.
Well, I'm going to go ahead, and of course, this is a different kind of level than what we're looking at with Johnny Manziel, but I'm going to use it. I'm going to let a little bit of personality from myself come out. It's like with me. I love to eat McDonald's. There are times where I go, man, I shouldn't eat that. And then I don't. But yet again, there's every few days where I go back and I eat McDonald's and I go, man, I shouldn't eat that. But I'm never going to truly stop unless I say myself, this is it. I am going to stop and not do it.
This is the last Big Mac.
This is the last. Well, for me, it's chicken nuggets. I love my McNuggets and my McChickens. That's what I get. And my 2 hash browns. That's what I get every time. And I say all the time, man, I shouldn't eat this. But until I literally say and go follow through with it, this is the end, I'm going to probably continue to eat McDonald's. That's just how it's going to work for me.
And, much like I said, Johnny Manziel could one day end up dead. Ricky, you're going to give yourself a heart attack. You got to calm down on the McDonald's.
Clogging up those arteries over here.
Okay, all you have to do is pretty much cut out the 2 hash browns.
I love
and
the
the
hash
rest of it
browns,
will be just fine. Well, then just get the 2 hash browns.
I can't just get 2 hash browns. That's not enough food. It's not enough food. It's just 2 hash browns.
Well, it's, you need to maybe take an extreme here.
I know what you're saying, Brandon, but unless I say, you know what, I'm going to follow through with it, I'm going to get the same thing. And that's how it is here. Unless you're going to say, you know what, this is it, I'm done, and then go and get help, we're always going to be looking at Johnny Manziel through this lens, and he's finally done. And I screwed up the 30 for 30 when you mentioned it, because we had mentioned this before.
Yeah.
The line is going to be, what if I told you mo money means mo problems? And it's just going to be a shot of Manziel doing the money sign.
It's a sad story, really. It's really a sad story.
And I hate that we have to talk about it. I hate that we do.
We don't have to. You know what I hate? I hate that it's one of the leading NFL storylines. That's what but he's done it himself.
When you're as popular as Johnny Football.
Here's the thing though, is that when he was, it was probably his junior year in college, and some pictures were coming out of him at parties with different girls and stuff like that, and we're thinking,
college stuff.
It's a typical stuff. I mean, my gosh, I can't say we all did it in college because some people didn't have fun, but some people had a real blast.
Well,
but the thing is though, is that that escalated into so much more, and no one back then, I think, would have ever thought that it would be this bad. And that he would be so irresponsible.
But the fact too is not only that, but is the fact that he was able to turn around and play on Saturday. He's not doing that and turning around and playing on Sunday.
I mean, the competition's different.
If he was, like you said before, people would be quick to forgive certain things that he's doing.
And the analogy that I think of when Brandon was just talking was, I feel like everybody knows at least one person from high school that turned into this, but it's like that guy or that girl that all they do is party in high school, and it's like do the stupid kid stuff, and it's like, oh, they're in high school, you're a stupid kid, it's what you're gonna do. And then everybody gets into their like late 20s, and you come back and it's like, well, Johnny's still doing the old stupid high school stuff while all of us got out and got real jobs and went and got degrees.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I've looked at some people in college that I went to college with, and I look at them, and that's all they want to do. All they want to do is party. They don't go to class. They miss class. They'll stay out really late on a Thursday night. They'll miss their Friday classes. It's like, you know what? I remember back to myself. Would I stay out late and have fun? Absolutely.
But you got up and did your
fucking
stuff.
Struggled through that class hungover? Absolutely. And I was going to do everything I could to pay attention and do well. Because if I was going to do one thing, I was going to suffer through the fucking consequence the next day. And I just, there are some people, you talked about high school and then, your lives later in your late 20s. But let's talk about, more college.
It's the same thing.
It is. It really is. And, sometimes it's like, I would always joke, you can't be an alcoholic in college. This is when you're supposed to have fun. No, you very much can be. And, it's sad, though, because there are, I shouldn't say many, but there's definitely groups of people who that's how it goes. And they kind of forget, I think, the path of what's important and they get off that path, and it's just it's sad. It's very sad. I think, a lot of things too. You said almost everyone knows at least one person. I think there's a lot of people who know at least one person who's been affected by alcohol, drugs, something like that. And
might not even know it either.
No, exactly. And it's just it's a shame. This is on a bigger scale because he's an NFL player.
It always is when we talk about this stuff. It always goes bigger. It's the way I'm thinking about what you just said. It kind of transcends the person. We start talking about Johnny Manziel. Boom, we're actually talking about a bigger issue that affects a lot more than just Johnny football.
Exactly. And I think that's where you have to put football aside. I mean, it's a football story because he plays in the NFL, but
it's just a game at this point.
You have to put football aside because this is someone's son. This is someone's, friend, and this is a very serious thing. And as much as you may think what you want about him as a football player, but this is a human being whose life literally could be at stake if something isn't done, if he isn't given help.
Well, that's going to do it. Our kind of somber way to end the podcast, so I'm going to try to liven up the end of this one. I want to thank Brandon Swanson for joining us on the onside kick. Is this your inaugural start on the onside kick since we started it way back in 2012? Is this the first time you've been on the podcast since we started it when it was just me, you, and Dave?
I can't remember. It might be. I don't come on often with you guys, but when I do, it's a damn good show.
It's always gold. And me and Brandon will hopefully be back next Monday.
As long as draft talk isn't back.
The draft will be over.
It'll good, but that means we'll have to analyze the shit out of it.
No, because they're in the NFL.
Then then there are problems to deal with. But we will have NBA draft to talk about. So you're not completely
don't worry,
out of
cannot
draft.
Wait.
You're completely not out of the draft season. But me and Mark will be back next week for the onside kick. Also, this Friday, I got to pitch it here in the podcast so you guys know about it. This Friday will be, actually, if you're listening to this on YouTube as of now, it's up the same day. A Graphic Conversations coming back where me and Mark read the best and hopefully not the worst graphic novels. It's a little book club for our nerds of the MVP Army. I want to thank you guys for checking out this podcast. If you're listening on SoundCloud, hit that little heart button, that repost button, and then follow us on SoundCloud. Go check out mostvaluablepodcast.com, your one-stop shop for everything MVP. If you're on YouTube, hit that like button and definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new. You can follow us on Twitter. We got a plethora here today. Mark is at the Mark Weber with 2 E's. I'm at Ricky Widmer. Brandon is at Young_Swan19. And
no
Most
E's.
Valuable Podcast
no E's at all.
Is at Most Valuable Pod. Thank you one more time for checking out this podcast. And as always, have a good day, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this MVP podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Most Valuable Pod for more great podcasts.